next fight, I'm going to divert from you two guys. Possibly. We'll see how it goes. But
Uh-oh.
we've got Tim Means, the Dirty Bird, versus Kevin Holland. Going by multiple nicknames, Trailblazer, Big Mouth, all that good stuff.
I like Big Mouth.
Yeah, I mean, it suits him very well. But Tim Means is coming in at plus 195, Kevin Holland at minus 240. And this is actually one I'm pretty conflicted on. I think that this is going to be a great fight. I like Kevin Holland here, but you can't sleep on Tim Means. He's gotten cracked a few times, and he just goes on autopilot, like he said, when he got cracked by Nick Dalby, I think. And he's got great instincts. I think that this is going to be, if Kevin Holland has it his way, it's going to be a stand-up bout. But I wouldn't be surprised if Tim Means tries to take Kevin Holland down, since we all know that Kevin Holland has a history of just suffering on his back. When Means does take opponents down, like he did this to Dalby, he gets into side control very, very quickly, especially when his opponents are a little bit inept on the ground. He gets into side control, stays there, lands a good bit of elbows, knees, the Means fights at range, and he does leave himself open to a lot of body and leg kicks, which I think Kevin Holland is definitely going to exploit. Also because of the range that Means fights at, he throws strikes from pretty far away, and it's going to be easy for Kevin Holland to see a lot of those coming in. Kevin Holland's got really good head movement, and I think Kevin Holland is more likely to dodge shots and try to move out of the way of things, whereas Means is more likely and more willing to take one to give one. So I do see a path to victory here for Tim Means, but I'm torn. I think just because of the line and the week that the night that I had last night, since I can be a little bit more reckless this week, I think I'm actually going to go with Tim Means here at plus 195. I think he's a high value underdog pick in this one. Kevin Holland, if you're going up against him, that there's a clear path to victory. If you have, the slightest wrestling ability whatsoever, you can beat Kevin Holland. So what do you think about that one, Tom?
Yeah, I'm going to have to be riding with Kevin Holland here. Maybe a little bit of personal affinity for the fighter is getting in the way. But at the end of the day, I think Kevin Holland has been focusing on it. I know his grappling still is leaves a lot to be desired. He's been getting slightly better. In recent fights, he's been able to ward off those takedowns to a little bit later in the first round than in previous fights. But at the end of the day, I think Kevin Holland, if he's able to keep it, standing, he is going to have, I think, a 4 or 5 inch reach advantage in this fight. So he is by far the longer fighter. He is going to be able to pick Tim Means apart at range. I think he's the much quicker fighter. I think he's the much more creative fighter. And even if Tim Means does take it down, I think Kevin Holland, he knows that grappling is his weakness, but I think he has affinity for fighting. And it's interesting that wrestling is his weakness, but jiu-jitsu is one of his strengths. He's very, very good at jiu-jitsu, especially submission and offensive jiu-jitsu off of his back. He likes to cut people up. Don't forget, Kevin Holland is the guy who knocked out Jacare Souza off his back. So at the end of the day, that's not someone who I'm ever going to count out. When you're knocking out somebody, and when you are a jiu-jitsu player, you can play jiu-jitsu later in your career than maybe you would be able to box or do kickboxing or MMA. So even a little bit later in his career, for Kevin Holland to knock out Jacare Souza off his back it shouldn't get discounted because it's later in Jacare Souza's career. And I think Jacare Souza went on to retire either the fight after that or 2 fights after that. But either way, I like Kevin Holland in this fight. I think he's the far more entertaining fighter. And I think at the UFC, when they're making matchups, I think some people, they want to give them matchups so that they lose. I don't think that's happening here. I think they want to give Kevin Holland a good matchup so he's an exciting fighter, continues to build his presence and popularity outside or inside the UFC with fans. And I also think they want to raise him to a different level. So they're not going to necessarily throw someone at him where he's going to be exploited and all of that. Patrick, to you, sir.
Look at that, already inflated. What are we at, like minus 300 for Kevin Holland? Something like that, minus 280? I'm not quite sure where it's at.
I'll tell you right now. It is minus 240 for Kevin Holland.
Okay. So like plus 170 mean?
Plus
yeah, so Okay, so Means is he's very very good. He's been durable thus far against some of the record, the competition he's fought. Very durable. He's only been knocked out one time, and that was by who the hell was that by? Nico Price, right? So Kevin Holland, he's kind of a guy that I don't have the personal affinity to him that Tom mentioned. I am going to pick Kevin Holland to win this fight, but I mean, Kevin, guy who was everybody's favorite guy in 2020. He won 5 times in 2020. Fought, pretty much every other month and got all the victories. Then he comes in 2021, can't win anything. He gets, destroyed by Brunson. Tory ends up clashing heads against Douglas, and now he has to rid himself at one. He looks very good against Alex Oliveira. Alex Oliveira is another guy who'd only been knocked out once before that, and now he got knocked out by Kevin Holland. So Kevin Holland is a different kind of power at 185, and especially at 170s. Probably if you can get 81-inch reach and still only 29 years old. So I like Kevin Holland here. I think the price tag is it's warranted if it wasn't for those fights where he let us down against Brunson and Vettori, and he was such a huge favorite in those fights that it's kind of anytime I see like a minus 200 or more Kevin Holland, I get very leery. I'm like, are you going to betray me again? Are you going to do something stupid? But I think otherwise, if you just ignore that poor fight IQ and just that huge hole in his game, this should be fine. I don't think Tim Means is the type of guy that's going to be able to keep him down and hold him down. Tim Means has also been submitted like 5-2 by people that are not quite even on the level of a BJJ practitioner of Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland can threaten submissions, either get them or at least get the back to his feet that way. So Tim Means is a very good aggressive pressure. That's part of his game plan. That's baked into his style, and that's why he wins some fights. A lot of decision victories based on that forward aggression. But he's very sloppy with his defense striking, and I think Kevin Holland can use that long 81-inch reach to just pick him apart all day long, potentially even end the fight. I know Tim Means is very durable, but like I said, Cowboy Oliveira was durable too, and he got laid out. So I'm taking Kevin Holland here. I even like the inside the distance if there's a juicy enough number on that. Get this closer to even money.
Yeah. I knew that was going to be one of the ones that we were going to divert on for sure. Tim Means is definitely a ballsy pick in this fight, but like you said, Kevin Holland has let us down, especially like when I see like anything over like minus, over minus 200 for him. It almost feels like a trap in a way because he is a favorite. He is known by a lot of people, like a lot of casuals. So it does kind of feel like bait to me, but I definitely understand why you guys are taking him. And
you're looking at, you said your limit for that would be like minus 200. So we're looking at an implied probability of 66.6% odds that he doesn't do something stupid. That's actually quite a heavy price tag to wager against Kevin Holland, who might do something stupid, might just start talking to the commentary team off of his back when Tim Means is laying on him. You never really know, but so far he looks good at 170, and I have a little bit of trust in him.
He looks strong at 170, and with that frame and with some strength behind it, and with all of the work that he's been doing in Hendrickson, I really think that he's going to be a whole different force to be reckoned with at 170. So and I think. I'm glad you brought up the Alex Oliveira fight. He looked very good in that fight. Now, that was an aging Oliveira, so hard to read into at this point in time what that means. But I think Cowboy Oliveira got cut too.
Yeah, right.
So, still not sold on Kevin Holland, but he did look very good at 170, and I'm very.
At least he's 29 years old still, and Tim Means is up at 38 years old. Doesn't look like a big decline from Tim Means, but he's never really facing like that upper level competition either. He's facing like the Staropolis or the Dalbys, guys that can he can get away with being the older guy and use his veteran savvy. Now he's gonna have to go against the guy who's got just so many physical advantages and the ability to improve fight to fight as well. And a guy coming with a drastic weight cut. Who's this size that Tim Means has fought with an 81-inch reach that's fit for a heavyweight, not a welterweight. So. A lot of interesting stats in this fight.
Yeah, not to mention like Kevin Holland. I mean, I totally understand why you have a little bit of an affinity for him, Tom, because he is like an actual real life superhero, like pulling people out of burning
twice
car robberies. Yeah, it's like I don't know, it's crazy. Like he's in like
Tim Means is a real life superhero too, though. He was he went to meth and like shot a guy or something, I believe, in his house. So
whoa.
Yeah.
I didn't know
about
that.
A long time ago. Yeah. Look into it. He did something. He got in some sort of fight or shot himself. He got like addicted to painkillers and meth early on in his life. And like some guy, like I think broke into his house or tried to mug him. So like he almost killed the guy and went to
Whoa.
prison for a while. Once he got out, he turned his life around. So he's like a real life superhero, kind of like
Wow,
Kevin
that's
Holland.
crazy. I didn't know about that too.
It's more of like a superhero versus villain origin story, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely got me, pulling for both of these guys in their career. I mean, that's crazy. I didn't know that about Tim Means. That's really interesting. So